Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. I'd like to welcome you all to the show. Now, today we're going to discuss an age-old topic, right? But we're discussing the science of this topic, and that's the science of mating, or how to find a compatible companion for oneself. And we're going to discuss this with none other than my brother, Low Key. What's up, fam?
What's going on, Brother Blake?
Oh, man, ready to put it down because this is such an important topic. Reason being why this is an important topic is simply because if you can't find the right companion or the right mate and don't even know the science and finding the right help meet, right? Then that spills over into other aspects of life, especially dealing with the youth, the children, right? So this is what I want us to do with the short time that we have, is try to tackle this issue and maybe guide those into the science or the process and finding the right mate or the right help meet to get an understanding of what all entails in that search, right? Now, back in the slavery times, they said that never teach the slaves or the black man the science of mating, right? Because we thought that, hey, you see a female, you look at her, okay, she fine, she look good, I want to marry her. Or a sister see a brother, I want to marry that brother due to some exterior features, right? I want to marry him. But it's a mindset, it's a science, money comes involved. How do this person handle pressure? If something goes awry in the home, will this person flee up and fold and run out the house? It's just an array of things that has to be tackled, and that's why 70% of black women or in the black community, the divorce rate is high. So we're gonna tackle that today. But brother Low Key, what you think is the key component in finding the right help meet?
Well, it all starts with knowledge of self. I was just talking to my son, Zion, today on way back to the house, and I asked him, what's the most important thing to obtain in life? And after he gave me his answer, I told him that what I've come to understand, that it's knowledge of self. There's nothing greater than that. I told him that you'll be learning about self until the end of time. Mm-hmm. And so, first and foremost, Christians say equally yoked. I would say that you want to find somebody that you're compatible with. You want to find somebody that's on that same type time. Somebody that understands the importance of knowledge of self. So it starts right there.
Okay, now let me ask you this. Because I notice a lot of women are getting into this, right? Looking at their astrological sign, the zodiac sign, and saying, well, I'm a Pisces and I'm more compatible with a Aries or something like that. Does that factor into it?
Excuse me. I think that you can factor that in, but that for damn sure ain't the end all be all.
Okay.
For me, I'm not even going to factor that in, for me personally.
Right.
But I do got a partner who is real big on that. So at best, it's a reference at best. And I think that it really becomes more useful once you actually start courting a woman and getting to know her, and then I can, that's when I start more so looking at things like that to see how that factors in.
Well, explain courting though, bro. Now, because that's a very key word that you use, was courting. What's the purpose of courting a woman?
It's very important. That's when you get to know a woman, see what her values is, see where her mind is at, see how she reacts to things. You get to ask questions, you get to know her. You know, you see how she reacts in different situations. You know, so, you know, woman, if you're courting a woman, that is a vetting process. She gets a chance to vet you and vice versa. So that's extremely important. You know, you don't never want to rush into anything. I think that the courting process should be, you know, as long as it needs to be, you know, in order, you know, for you to feel 100%, because it's a very important decision if you're talking about transition into a relationship, or whether, you know, it's just a intimate encounter, or, you know, because you don't even want to rush into that. If you're just looking for intimacy, you don't want to get intimate with somebody who could be a potential stalker, or, you know, these are things I've personally been through. So I ain't just telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I know. You know, I done met some people that completely insane. Right. You know, and went through a very insane situation. So I'm telling you from experience, you know, you want to make sure that you're not dealing with an insane person and not dealing with somebody who doesn't have anything to lose, somebody who has some substance. So that way you don't find yourself in a situation where a woman is trying to put a case on you, or a woman is stalking you, or, you know, any of these type of adverse things. You know, so courting process is very important, very crucial for various different reasons.
Yeah, because what I'm understanding and what I'm seeing is a lot of people don't understand that the choices and decisions you make today is supposed to create peace for you later on in life, or yesterday, or tomorrow, right? And if you just, in today's culture where it's just sexualized, and women feel like, well, look, let me get with this guy because he got money, and the guy like, well, she fine, and so it's like, okay, well, they finna trade off. And she like, I'm gonna give you this ass, you gonna give me this money, and we gonna come together, create a child, and we just gonna live our lives happily ever after. And as they get older, they realize it doesn't work like that, right? And that's the reason why we're having this subject and discussing this topic, so people that's listening don't have to create a situation where they're not at peace as they move forward in life. Because trust me, that's one of the most important things you can have is peace in your home. But it just doesn't come freely. You have to position yourself and make certain choices and decisions to create that peace. Now another thing that's popping up today is women are saying if they have to work, then that takes them out their feminine state. They're saying that there should be no 50-50, that a man should pay 100% all of the bills, and the only thing that the female should contribute to is the domestic part of the housekeeping and rearing children. What's your take on that, bro?
So my take is, speaking to the men, is if a man that's the kind of situation that he wants, and you know he has the resources to do that and to keep his family comfortable, then I say, hey, you know, go for it. For me myself personally, you know, I can honestly say that I'm not quite at that point yet. Technically I could do that. But what I tell my lady is, if you're gonna work a 9 to 5, you know, because that little bit of extra, because I pay the majority of the bills by far. Right. You know, it ain't even close. You know, I tell her, just make sure you're not working something that you don't have some kind of passion in, or something that you don't want to do, or something to where I know she gonna come home and she gonna be miserable. You know, I wouldn't. That's not what I want for my lady. You know, I tell, you know, my lady, let me be the one to, you know, work the 9 to 5 that, I may not necessarily enjoy and I don't have any passion in until I can get this business built up to where we can go 100% full entrepreneurship. So, I think that, the man definitely, I think, being the breadwinner, it's because we come from being hunter-gatherers, going and gathering up
Right.
the energy and bringing it back home. The woman cultivates the energy, and it creates the understanding, of how to maintain that balance. And, so that's just natural to us. Now, I understand there's some situations where women, they may make more money than a man, and, things of that nature. And if that bothers you as a man, I would say you need to get your ambition up and put yourself in a position to where, you can change that situation if it bothers you that much. You got to do what works for you. Every relationship is different, and you got to find your balance. There is no cookie cutter way to make this thing work out. Anybody, we can all give suggestions and certain references and point you in the right direction, but you got to do what works for you at the end of the day. So, what works for me is exactly that. I'm a breadwinner, and, my thing is as well, and I want to put this message out to the ladies, is that I think that I might be able to speak for a lot of brothers out here, especially the stand-up men, is that the women, ladies, I think that my suggestion, not get so caught up into making the money to where you start neglecting the home and start neglecting things that men are naturally attracted to, because you want to keep the man's focus and attention on the balance of the home. And when a woman starts getting so caught up in the money, her focus is deviated, and then next thing you know, the man's focus might become deviated.
Right.
So, women got to understand that they are the symbol of beauty. It ain't nowhere around it. I don't care how much knowledge of self, how deep you think you are, men, women are natural. That's why you have the Ifa deity Oshun and the Palo Mambe deity Mama Shola. These are the symbols of beauty. They hold up the mirror because they are the symbol of beauty. They're the most beautiful things walking the face of the earth as an African woman. So women, sometimes women, they get in these relationships and they get comfortable and they fall off, and the same thing for the brothers, but the difference is that brothers are more visual and women are more, psychic, if you will, so a man's mind and his confidence and, the way he carries himself, these are things that, women are attracted to, and for men, of course he wants a woman that has, a beautiful mind, but he also wants a woman not to just get comfortable. He wants the initial, thing that attracted that man, because it starts visually before she ever opens her mouth. Right. A woman should never lose sight of that, because if she starts getting away from that, then that could cause an imbalance. And, I know women, that may sound cruel, but you just got to understand that men think differently than women do.
Exactly.
So a woman wouldn't want a man that starts getting weak and starts losing confidence and starts, acting like a female. She will become disinterested in that man and start losing respect for that man. So we got to understand that, men and women have two different perspectives. And, if you're a woman, you'll never fully understand how a man thinks unless you're in a man's shoes, and you're not. And the same thing for a man. You'll never 100% fully understand a woman if you're not in a woman's shoes, and you won't be. So we got to keep that in mind as well.
Now, let me ask you this. Tough question, though. What about women who didn't have their fathers in their lives, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason why I ask this question is because some women who didn't have a male example in the home sometimes will take their example off of a television character, or you will see those type of women get involved in, let's say, these reality TV shows, and then they compete then they compete with other women, and they want the man to put them in the game so they can compete with other women because they feel like that's their calling in life, and they put pressure on the man. Well, so and so just got this new person. I want this. That's being a woman, but they miss the inner most parts of the feminine nurturing of a female because they didn't see the interaction between mother and father because father wasn't there.
Right.
Should a man who saw or knew both his mother and father deal with a woman who didn't know her father?
Yeah, a man can deal with a woman. It's a thing of where when a man and a woman, when they're dealing with each other, whether they're courting, their relationship, marriage, what have you, it's all a learning process. We're all supposed to be gaining understanding, and we do have to listen to each other. I understand that sometimes men, women, they love to talk, and men, we can tune out, but you gotta listen. Right. You gotta listen, man, because a woman will tell you what the issue is, but if you ain't paying attention, you're gonna miss it, and that could cause problems. Right. And as well, in my opinion, I think that men don't need to be out here gossiping like women and spending a bunch of time talking. Even when it comes to a woman, I think that a man should be more focused on his actions and getting things done than just running his mouth to his woman all day, pillow talking. Right. Now, in regards to, the reality TV show and trying to keep up with the Joneses, well, we learned that, day one, that keeping up with the Joneses is not where it's at. It's all about us reaching our own personal level. If I met a woman and she met me at a certain level, then for both of us, we should be looking to optimize that level. Right. To the highest degree that we possibly can, and we support each other while we're doing that. And we gotta avoid being stagnant and avoid getting too comfortable. And that means, let's even say if a woman is a homekeeper, then as a man is building up that castle, then that may put things into a position where a woman may have more duty because he's building this thing up. So she can't even become stagnant and just being a homemaker and a homekeeper. Right. If there's more children brought into the situation, then the woman has to step her game up. That the game don't stop as long as we got breath in our body, and even beyond that, even in the spirit realm, the game don't stop till the end of time. Right. So it's always going to be work to do. And reality TV show is fake and it's scripted. Right. So anybody trying to follow that, you following some fake shit anyway. So that's not a position you want to put yourself in.
Well, that's strength. See, what we're listening to today is strength coming from two black men. And the reason I say that is because oftentimes, in particular, black women would second guess what a black man would say unless it was backed up by the white man, because at one time she saw him as the ultimate authority figure. Well, it's 2022, and we have the knowledge and the strength to take the lead because we're analytical and we don't lead off emotions. And that was a and that came about to where men would say, you know what, I'm getting ready to start this business and I believe I can make this happen. And sometimes the female would be like, well, are you sure? Second guessing in the sense, not feeling that he has the wherewithal or the knowledge to lead, to make it a success. And that would cause breakups and frustration, like, you don't believe in my dreams, you just want to keep me at a certain level that you're comfortable with, and you don't want to take a chance of risking your comfortability on me believing within myself, and that goes into the question of being a helpmeet. You know, how do you make sure that in courting you got the right helpmeet, or how do you get the female to the female to understand that her role as a helpmeet?
Man, great question, man. So this is crucial because, and nowadays with the whole feminism and everything, you know, some people are missing this concept of a woman backing up her man. I mean, first and foremost, if she's questioning it, then that means that there's a lack of trust anyway. You know, and if she didn't trust a man, then she should have never got into a relationship anyway with a man that she didn't trust when she got to second guess, you know, his pursuits. And this is something I also experienced myself, you know, many years ago. I was in a situation, and it was crazy because I moved out of my people place when I was 18. By the time I was 19, I was completely on my dean, and haven't stopped to this day, and have been able to provide food, clothing, and shelter, you know, for myself. I did go back home for 1 year, my second year of college, and then after that, it was off to the races. You know, I was working full time when I was 19, going to school. And then I came back, you know, home to Studewood, came back to my father's home for a year. And then after that, you know, it was no holds barred after that, you know. And even in the process, you know, I was going hard. So, you know, food, clothing, and shelter was something I was able to provide for myself. And I wasn't leaning on anybody, and I wasn't begging and borrowing and all. You know, I was standing on 10. And so years down the line, when I met this woman, and, you know, I got into knowledge of self, and I started learning about the Moors. And, you know, when it came to the whole Moors thing, you know, I tried everything that was in the book. You know, I earned all the stripes. I'd have seen it all. It ain't nothing that a Moorish American or a Moorish national or just a Moor period can tell me about the game. I done tried it all. I know what work and what don't work.
Right.
But when I met this woman, I was at the beginning of me learning knowledge of self, and I had to learn a lot of stuff the hard way. But my thing is I didn't understand all the questioning, because, you know, this is a crucial situation. We living up under the same roof, so, you know, I needed to have that trust from my lady, and at the time, I didn't understand all the questioning and all the second guessing me when I've been providing food, clothing, and shelter. You know, she didn't have to worry about nothing like that, and I didn't have to worry about nothing like that since I was 19 anyway. You know, specifically, you know, after that year when I got my first apartment in Studewood, and then eventually, you know, got my house. And so I was like, well, regardless if, you know, this woman didn't understand, you know, what I was learning as far as law and legalities of what I was trying to apply, the fact that I can provide and protect, you know, that should have been enough in my mind.
Right.
You know, and I had to learn. That's why I say it's so important for our people to study psychology. You know, whether you got to go to a psychologist, but I think it's better for us to learn it ourselves. Matter of fact, I suggest, you know, brothers and sisters, check out an Indian brother from Africa named Quasi Johir. Okay. I think it's spelled Quazijohir. Quasi Johir, he teaches psychology. I'd say this, he's definitely one of the coldest psychologists I've ever heard in my life. Okay. You know, and so it's real important to understand how the mind works, you know, so you can get to deprogramming into the subconscious when it comes to, you know, reality and you know, shaping reality the way that you need to shape it. But all right, brother. So, you know, when it comes to a woman backing up a man, this is crucial, absolutely crucial. You don't want your man to feel less of a man by you second guessing him, you know, because he might even second guess himself if he doesn't have that mental wherewithal. And, you know, you got to understand that a lot of men, they're not really moved by a woman who, let's say, she is more focused, or let's say she's removing a lot of focus from the home and making sure, and even maybe even on, you know, her not getting too comfortable and starting to, you know, because it's okay. Everybody is going to change through age. That's one thing. You know, nobody should have a problem with that. But there's a difference between, you know, aging gracefully and naturally and just not taking care of yourself, not taking care of your health, and, you know, just getting comfortable and also maintaining at home. You know, now some women, they get so ambitious and they get so wrapped up in out here, you know, trying to build castles and swing swords. You got all these pictures of women where they pumping, they flexing their muscles. Y'all know the famous picture with the woman with the bandana on her head and she flexing. You got all these pictures with women with all these ARs and I understand in certain cases in the past in tribal settings, certain wars that they ain't jumped off. But I'm saying that this is such a constant with the Kill Bill movies and all. Y'all gotta understand this is all war tactics done by, you know, these foreigners, these foreign people. Y'all know what I'm talking about. In order to push this narrative that the woman, you know, basically takes a man position and the man falls into a more feminine, more submissive position.
Right.
You know, and a woman is you know, I challenge, and women know this, a woman is at her happiest state when she's in her full feminine state, and a man is at his happiest state when he's in his full masculine. You know, now we both have to still utilize masculine and feminine principle because that's just natural. But I'm talking about more times than not, you know, you want to be in your natural state. You know, you don't want to, you know, be in a state that's unnatural to where, you know, somebody, you know, as a man, you know, you're being doubted, and, you know, even for a woman where her femininity is being doubted, where the man is looking at her like, well, are you trying to be the man, or are you trying to be the woman? Right. You know, what you're trying to do, you know, because, and you know, we was talking about this before we did the podcast, is that a woman doesn't understand. Some women don't understand that how hard a man can go for his household in terms of his power moves that he's making and his pursuits. If he's a man of pursuit and he's a man that's building swinging swords and building up his castle, when he has that full support and focus, and a woman is not, you know, taking all that focus away from, you know, maintaining herself and maintaining at home, where she thinks that, oh, well, by me being so ambitious, this is what is going to help us as a whole. Well, that's, at the end of the day, that's really the man's job. The woman, you know, just by her playing her role the same way the man got to play his role to protect and make sure, you know, that he's standing in a position to where the household is intact, you know, and doesn't falter. You know, if everybody play their role, then, you know, this is the fastest track to building things, you know, much faster, moving it faster. A man being able to get the job done twice as fast if a woman, you know, understands her role and plays her position and don't get so caught up in what these Europeans, this game that they playing, where they're pushing this narrative for women to basically take on a man's position.
Exactly. See, and that's why when you started off, you stated about knowledge itself. If a man has knowledge of self and a female has knowledge of self, then you break that Willie Lynch curse. If you don't have knowledge of self for the black man, then you will think that you would have to go get a European female because you feel that she's less challenging to you and you can build better with her, because the Willie Lynch was put the man against the woman and the woman against the man, and y'all constantly fighting. That was by design. But if you have knowledge of self and that proper knowledge, you break that that spell, and y'all can go on and build even bigger and better. But those who don't, or who's even afraid to study knowledge of self, will say, well, let me go get a European because I don't have to fight as much. I don't have to be challenged as much. And they say sometimes that's the reason for that. So that's very important what you said, to know who you are. She has to know who she is and be proud. I mean, bro, within the community, when you proud and know who you are, you're not fighting over what is that term they use? Colorism. Light skin, dark skin, this and that. A female should be proud of who she is. You're not competing with the Hollywood standards of beauty. And you gotta do this and like this because you love who you are. You love yourself. You ain't worried about what nobody else is doing, and that has to be instilled. I mean, at a young age, bro. And I believe that the other or the Europeans use media as a weapon against us in order to uphold their standards and demean ours. But it's all entertainment. It's all television. You create your own life story. So, it's a lot of, I hope we answered a lot of questions, but there's a lot to involve, or there's a lot of things that has to be dealt with to preserve and make it better for the next generation moving forward. And before we close, I want to touch on this, Brother Low-Key. A guy, a white supremacist, drives 3 hours to Buffalo, New York, right? In an area that's predominantly black. He goes into that grocery store and kills mostly elderly women, right? Now, in certain communities, they have what some would call gangsters, right? But there's also men. How can women feel safe and protected when some other nationality or some other race can go into their community and just kill women and make it out of their lives? And you have politicians and preachers who will still teach that Willie Lynch doctrine. We got to forgive them, or we have to love them till they love us, or we have to turn the other cheek, or how can women feel, or we're going to put it in Jesus' hands? How can they say, well, who's my protector? Y'all telling me this person can come do an evil act, but we don't have they saying we don't have nobody that's gonna go in and throw down and fight for us. We're vulnerable.
Right. Absolutely, and this is one of the biggest issues that our people are facing. And we've on past podcasts, we've had conversations about the importance of moving towards us having our own private security firm.
That's right.
So what you do is private property is secured by private security firm. And so you look at the Jewish neighborhood, they have private property. They got their own police force. They have a certain amount of jurisdiction over certain quote-unquote criminal subject matter, or whatever dealings are going on on their private property. They got their own police force that can handle that. They also have their own courts the Beadine course. And this is something I was talking to my son about today about religion. You know, he was saying that he knows I don't believe in religion. And I said, no, it's not that. I understand religion. I study it. I understand how the role that it plays in politics and when dealing in nations. We're talking about a religion of creed. You know, religion is something that's born out of our natural spirituality. Religion is nothing but politics. I understand, you know, the occult side where it means to bind back and things like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where it's applied when it comes to actual nations and actual civilizations, you know. And so it's a political thing, you know. It is your political status, you know. And so what we need, you know, and like I said, we don't have to reinvent the wheel because they got the wheel from us. Right. The design of the Jewish neighborhood is based on our natural law, based on how we was functioning as Moors. They just took that blueprint and regurgitated it, and now you got a Jewish neighborhood basically securing their own people. You know, matter of fact, I was listening to a little bit of Queen's Flip, and he was talking about how his daughter got into it with this little Jewish girl, and you know, apparently, you know, she put hands on a little Jewish girl because the Jewish girl said she was a part of the KKK, and the whole Jewish neighborhood came out on the scene, and the Jewish police came out there and basically, you know, stepped in on the situation. And you know, we could do the same thing, you know, and you know, people, they like to throw little jabs. Some people like to throw little jabs at the Moors, but this is where these things come into play. You know, because we can use something that is ancient, something that has already worked. We ain't got to reinvent the wheel. And we can use, you know, Moors as a nation. We can use Sufism as the religion or creed, or just Islam, period. And we can use Sharia law because it's already being used. You already got Sharia-compliant mortgages. You got, you know, Sharia courts where we can have jurisdiction over, you know, a certain amount of subject matter, and we can start moving towards sovereignty. We need to start having that conversation, because when you have sovereignty, then you can protect your own shit. If you you can look at the Moors in the Philippines and Mindanao. I was talking to my son about this the other day. Mm-hmm. They have real deal sovereignty. Let a European try to come in there with some kind of weapon, they would have ripped his head off before he got 10 steps close to anybody in Mindanao when you're talking about those Moors out there. And they fought the United States and shed blood and fought the Filipino government in order for them to gain their sovereignty. You know, and we could do the same thing. And we could play chess. I'm not even saying that we got to, you know, necessarily do this, that, and the third, you know, some conversation behind closed doors, but I'm saying just as a basic blueprint, you know, this is something that, you know, me and Black are working on anyway. So it's not like I'm just telling you to run out there on your own and do it yourself. You know, it's a lot of Moors out here, shout out to Mir Kush, that already have certain things in place to facilitate this process. You know, so, and as well, you know, shout out to Derek Grace. Go check out Derek Grace YouTube channel. He did a beautiful video talking about, you know, us arming ourselves and us, you know, teaching weapons training for our families and getting in that gun range. And for the felons out there, you know, there's I was listening to some, I don't know if it was a rapper or whatever, he just got hit with like 10 years on a felony gun charge. It was the one of these guys that got accused of killing Mo 3. And he just pled guilty to a 10-year, or a charge that carries 10 years for a convicted felon carrying a weapon. You know, there's laws out here for felons to be able to carry weapons, but people want to sit and laugh at the Moors and say, oh, that law shit and that paperwork ain't about shit, while niggas out here steadily catching charges because they don't want to study the shit that you can look up on the internet. Come on. You know, everything is a goddamn joke till it affects your family or to affect you or somebody close to you. This shit is not a game. This shit real out here.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, life ain't this is the most important game that we'll ever play, is the game of life. Come on, bro. You know, hey, have fun, and I'm not saying don't have fun and take everything too serious, but I'm saying don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and don't discount anybody's piece of the puzzle. Right. Don't think you got the supreme doctrine just because you're an occultist or just because, you know, you get in on Instagram and talk every goddamn day. Everybody got a piece of the puzzle. Everybody that's of African descent, that's indigenous out here, got a piece of the puzzle. But specifically, we're talking about our people. So don't discount our people that earn stripes and that have been through a lot of shit and got some valuable information. And don't discount people just because they don't have 7 figures in a bank account. Everybody got some information to offer to this game of life.
Yeah,
you know?
That's why what you're doing with the Moorish doctrine and sovereignty, I believe, is more important than the discussion of reparations. I believe we got to have that first, which will create unity or united front in order to even get serious on reparations. So yeah, absolutely. Now, last thing though, bro. I know I said that was the last topic. I gotta get this in, bro, since it's still hot, right? I was listening to Will Smith the other day saying how he saw himself losing everything and how that slap on Chris Rock is kind of depleting him, right? And people are saying, well, that Jada forced him to do that without him thinking of the bigger picture. What's your take on that, Brother Lowe?
Well, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about the importance of studying psychology. You know, see, for Will, if I knew the brother, you know, the advice that I would give him, if it's not too late, you know, to salvage the situation, which when you have, and I've experienced this, when you have a certain type of foundation, because I seen a quote, you know, I don't know if it's true or not, that Jada Pinkett said that she didn't even want to get married or something to that effect, you know. Right. So it sounds like to me that the foundation is faulty. And I just got my house lifted 24 inches. When your foundation ain't about shit, then there ain't no way that your home is going to be able to stand the test of time.
Come on.
You know, so, but if, you know, I'm wrong and they have a strong foundation, then the home can be saved. And the suggestion I would give to Will is get out of his feelings, get out of his emotions, continue to focus on being great, and let his lady, let his wife, you know, do whatever she's doing to be great, you know, without slandering him. And he gonna have to also stand on 10 without getting emotional if she slanders him or, you know, does anything that can affect the, you know, the perspective when it comes to them, because a lot of these things need to be kept private. Right. One of the greatest things, and I know Black is an expert at this, you know, I'm pretty much an expert at this, but damn self, you know, is that you gotta, you know, everybody, I get it. You know, you got a beautiful woman, you know, you want to go and you want to flaunt it, you know it's going to attract all that attention. You might be using it as bait to catch other women. But you got to understand that there's pros and cons that come with that, because while you're throwing out that bait, you're going to attract everything, because there ain't nothing more magnetic than the African woman.
Come on.
You know, so you want to, you know, I would definitely tell them, man, you know, they need to practice privacy.
Right.
This shit ain't for the public. This shit is sacred.
That's right.
You know, keep that shit limited.
Right. Keep everybody out your business. Exactly.
Absolutely, man. This is the most important family business is the most important business. When it comes to your family and loved ones, that's family business. There ain't nothing more important than that. That ain't, you know, we shouldn't know all this shit about them.
Right. That's right.
You know,
right. And
what would say, Black?
But I'm about to say, and it's his job to say, hey, cut it right here. That's it.
Right.
Cut that
Absolutely.
shit. You know?
Yeah, look at Brother Denzel Washington. Yeah. He's a great example. I don't know nothing about what he got going on.
You know, that's right.
It seemed like things was going great. He got to give Will Smith advice after he done flew out the handle.
Yeah, for real.
Looks like he got his business in order. So, you know, he might want to take a page out of, you know, the guard Denzel Washington, seeing how he move and keep his things private in order to keep his home intact.
Exactly. Exactly, bruh. That exactly. Now, man, I appreciate you and your perspective on the show because I know this is going to help a lot of people, especially younger people who just now entering into the sacredhood of marriage, or who is courting, or who's dating, or who likes someone and they want to get together, because this is like you said, this is the game of life, and these energies uh, that you obtain to yourself can affect you for the rest of your life. So you have to love yourself enough to make sure that you are hooking up with the right energy. That you not a doormat, and you not abusing yourself. Because if you don't have direction and can't stand up for yourself, believe me, they will abuse you. They give you something to do. Right. They'll take you along for the ride. So make sure you know who you are. Very important. Make sure you know where you draw the line at. When you sitting down at the table, make sure that some of her worst things are what you can stand and what you can't stand. What outweighs certain things, and vice versa with the female. Make sure you can put up with their stuff, and the male, make sure you can put up with her stuff, because nobody's perfect, and know what you're willing to put up with and what you just not gonna stand for. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. You know what I mean? This is because this topic's been going on for eons. But you hear statements: can't live with them, can't live without them. Women from Venus, men from Mars, or whatever how they say it. Trying to figure this thing out. But we as a people, man, we got to figure it out, because the effects you can see play itself out within the community and with some of these social issues. So we got to curb this thing now and get things together. But low key, appreciate you being on the show, fam.
Man, appreciate you, Brother Black.
As always, until next time, Verbal Peak Radio, we out.
Hey, yay.